Now, the good news is it's over. It's over, and we're going to enjoy this postprandial moment. Both conventions are over. I thought they both sucked. Sorry, I don't know what they're supposed to do. I don't know why I'm supposed to find this so interesting. I just don't. Sorry, this is me. And I'm going to say something right off the bat. Who is this Douglas Murray? Have you noticed this? Have you been following this? He reminds me of this snippy, what's his name? This weird kind of a British. We are so bereft of the great Gore Vidals and even Christopher Hitchens, others. We have this. We really don't have a lot of folks who are frankly of any interest to me, but that's the way that goes. But it's over, and I'm going to take you through it. I'm going to tell you what to feel. I'm going to tell you how to take it easy, because what you have to do is take it easy. Relax. Let this thing go by. I've got to tell you, we are devolving seriously in terms of how we can handle and deal with these notions of politics and the events. We're taking them far too seriously. We're getting always upset about everything. Take it easy. It's over. I'm going to say something to you, and I know I'm repeating myself, but this is the most important thing in the world. I don't care what Trump does. I don't care if he goes to the border. I don't care if he does not go to the border. I don't care. I don't care anything. I want to know who is going to ensure that the ballot counting is okay. Hello? Anyone? Anyone? We're under this. For some reason, people are acting like, well, of course that's taken care of. No. Not necessarily taken care of. Sorry. Had to re-plug in my microphone there. Hate to say it. Nobody wants to say it. So let me tell you something. Just listen to Uncle Lenny here, okay? Please. I've been, and others have been around, and we've seen this before. We've seen this up and down. Look at this. Look at this. Our good friend, Pilgrim Media. You're all we need, Uncle Lenny. Thank you, sir. We've seen this. We're getting into this is a part of the year, Labor Day is coming. This is the birthday's coming up. This is the same year. And then whenever we go through this kind of fall's coming in, and I go through this, and it's like it's the same thing. And I want to tell people, relax and take it easy. We're going to review things, but we're not going to lose our mind. Okay? The DNC nonsense is over. It's already forgotten. Why didn't Beyonce show up at this event? They said she was going to be there. All the others showed up. They were obviously building up to get people to watch, because they say the more people watch that than the RNC. Okay. But all Beyonce would have to do is walk out and affirmatively say, just so that she could say whether she wins or loses, she could put the word out to all of the shadow government handlers that I'm in with you. Evan Grant says, I want paper ballots back, hand counted. No HAL. Okay. Well, handwriting analysis. Well, yes, we want them, but we want that, and we want addresses and identities verified. The same type of technology that's used for no-fly lists and that. Others use. There are ways to do this. If you turn in a ballot and it's got an address that's wrong, or if you have addresses that all go to, let's say, an apartment complex where there's no apartment number, and you've got some inside job at a post office who's able to collect these for you. You don't think unions? You don't think postal? I wouldn't in any way suggest that the postal carriers are in any way short of their. But you don't mean to tell me that somebody has a. I mean, do you? This has been going on for years. This is going on for years. But let me just sit back. Let's just sit tight. Let's talk about this. I want to say a couple of things here which are very, very important, very, very critical, and I want to make sure we get this out of the way because I'm telling you, I don't believe in panicking. I believe in reacting carefully. I want to remind everybody, first of all, before we forget, that on October the 26th, 10 days before the biggest election of our time, I'll be at the cutting room. Number one, be on the lookout for that. That's the tickets. That's how you get there. This is going to be the last chance that we meet in person, and you will meet other fellow travelers, so to speak, before this auspicious event. Do you get it? Good. Very, very important. Very, very critical. Next, I want to tell you something. You are finding out, and people are responding to this very, very loudly. Emergency food right now, when these, if we have been through, if these people get in after what they put us through regarding, shall I go through it? I'm not going to go through the litany. Emergency food is critical. Dear friend, I cannot emphasize this enough. Preparewithlionel.com. Just go to the site. Preparewithlionel.com. They have a special right now just for you. $300 off on a 3-month food supply kit. But just look at it. It's one of those things like when I was a kid, I used to love to go to Army Navy stores and Army surplus. And I loved all this. Look at all this stuff they've got. That's what this is. And finally, our dear friend you saw, Mike Lindell, shaved his mustache, shaved his stash, and he is, of course, the purveyor of mypillow.com. mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. Promo code Lionel. Do it right now. That's it. I'm not a hard sell. You know what to do. You're smart. And by the way, the things that they make more than anybody else or that they sell that nobody recognizes are the slippers and the like. Okay. Now let me go this. First, I want you to calm down. You know what we did last night, what Mrs. Ellen and I did during this whole event? We watched Mary Tyler Moore on Hulu. Greatest show from the beginning as you see the characters kind of develop. Like Ted Baxter, they called him Baxter. He wore glasses and you could see they were kind of like, what is Murray and how did they work out? And Rhoda. Greatest show. Most minimal stage. That's how I did it. I'm not going to watch this. I'm not going to lose my mental health. Or sit there and say, I know what it is. I know what it is. I used to, I'm sorry, but in high school, we'd have these pep rallies. And I used to turn to my friend and say all the time, what are we doing here? What is this? I'm not playing. They should have a pep rally for this team that you care about. I never understood the whole notion of the team. Oh, the team wins, doesn't win, so what? What are we doing here? Well, we got out of class. Hey, we're going to go to Haines City and we're going to fight them. Yeah. Great. What are we doing here? What is this? And I used to turn and say, why doesn't anybody here show any degree of interest in analyzing the stupidity of this ceremony that we're involved in? What are we doing? I've always, since I was a kid, whether it's funerals, whether it's weddings, whether it's anything, birthday parties, anything that we do, I immediately question. And I look at this, I'm saying, what are we trying to do? Last night was a vestige of a time which is a part of our collective, and I try to explain to people on foreign channels, look, this is the way we do it. What do you expect them to say? Can you believe how they lied? This Douglas Murray. Oh, this Douglas Murray. Oh, this Douglas Murray. Who in the hell is Douglas Murray? He reminds me of this fellow, Kenneth Williams. Do you remember Kenneth Williams? Kenneth Williams. Bless his heart. He talks like this, Kenneth Williams. And it's just, look up Kenneth Williams. He is one of these British. Oh my God. One of these folks. And that's his Douglas Murray. And because I guess he has a British accent, we think that all of a sudden he's smart. And he might be very, very smart. But it's like, why are you pointing out these obvious things? Why all of a sudden are you pointing out these things? Why? What exactly are you doing? Now, listen, it's a free country. I don't really care what anybody says. It doesn't matter to me one way or another. It doesn't matter. I don't care. You can say what you want. It's a free country. And the worst is his views on the Middle East. Oh my God, absolutely apodictic. If you don't understand how this thing works, I can't help you. I can't help you. Evan Webb, everybody, says, oh, of course, all the ID. Yep, your papers, please. And keep Chad out. Also, my membership is not linking up. Oh, and watch Uncle Tom documentary. Yes, I am calm as a cucumber. And watch Uncle Tom doc. I don't know what that means. It's very interesting, kind of like a very cryptic messaging. Of course, all the ID. Yep, your papers, please. And keep Chad out. Also, my membership is not linking up. I don't know what that means. Now, by the way, on my private channel, I am migrating. I put a message here in case you happen to do that. And I put a little message on there. It's very difficult. I'm migrating. Don't get me started. I don't want to go into this thing. So I'm waiting for that process. So that is on hold. There's a little message for LionelMedia.com subscribers. That's another thing. A lot of information to give out right now. Okay. Let's go to a couple of things, first of all. And I want to hit this right off the bat. First and foremost, I love sometimes there's the cheap shot. Now, cheap shots, let's face it, are okay. For example, do you really want to make fun of Doug Emhoff's daughter who has tats and she's non-binary, whatever the hell it is? Does that interest you? Does it? It doesn't me. It doesn't me. Same thing with Barron. Leave Barron alone. I don't care if the kids are 50 years old. Doesn't matter. And we've always made fun. You remember Billy Carter? There's always been this. Who was it? Donald Nixon. Remember Nixon's brother, Donald? There's always been a little something. Roger Clinton, good guy, by the way. Good guy. Interviewed him one time. I liked him a lot. Good guy. Okay. But so Doug Emhoff's daughter, she has tattoos and she looks kind of freaky. Okay. Pilgrim says, let's restart the Bull Moose Party. Bully. Well, in some cases, I remember one time there was a friend of mine, Pilgrim, is interesting you say, that went to sign up or went to a different state and he said, signed up. This is before Motor Voter. And he said, what is your affiliation? He said, well, what kind of parties are there? He says, well, let me see. And he goes through it. And lo and behold, as he's going through the, whatever you want to call it, the list of potential parties, Bull Moose, they actually had it. This was years ago. So he signed up as a Bull Mooser. Of course, he's not going to vote unless he's in the general, but what are you going to do? All right. So going back to what I said, leave the kids alone. Sasha and Malia, leave them alone. What did they look like? Whatever. Leave them alone. That's all. Evan says there was a documentary called Uncle Tom. Alrighty. I'll look it up. And is it about what per se? Uncle Tom doc. Let me look it up. Uncle Tom. All right. Oh yeah, yeah. The Uncle Tom. 2020. America's most provocative black conservative thinkers. All right. May I suggest something to you? And I know you're not gonna like this. I am so bored with anybody who has a label in front of them. A black conservative. See? Years ago, there was a guy named Ken Hamblin, Armstrong Williams, J.C. Watts, who was a congressman, and the C stood for. See? 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 There he is. He's see? See? All right. So, irrespective, that's fine. Boring. I'm very, very bored. I'm listening to just watching great Gore Vidal the other day. Just love listening to this old C-SPAN. I'm a different character. Don't put me in this world. I don't fit in. I really don't. With half of these people. But let me tell you one thing which I found very distressing. There's something I heard that is wrong with I think Tampon Tim's son. Now I don't know what's wrong with him. That's okay when I say something's wrong with him. I'm very, very careful. But the daughter, they make all this effort, and we call her Hope. I know when my wife and I tried to conceive, and we're going through IVF. It's not IVF, okay? Whatever. But what we did IVF, it's not IVF, okay? It's another lie. So what? And then when we finally had our daughter that we love so much, Hope, and that other kid. But Hope, we called her Hope, and the other kid. The other kid is not even mentioned. And the other night he was really crying, and I realized immediately there's something wrong. There's something different. And this world, sometimes I think there are people who say, I have anxiety. There's nothing wrong with you. You're a spoiled brat. But there are other people who have something, quote, wrong with them. Sometimes people have made fun of Barron Trump. He's awkward. He's autistic. He's this. You never even met the guy. How come we don't hear him talk? Well, why would you hear him? Have you heard Tiffany talk? Maybe you did. I don't know. Leave the kid alone. He's 17. He might be awkward. He might just leave him alone. Seriously. And they keep saying he's 6'7", he's 6'7". Enough. Who was it? One time somebody said there was a basketball player had was it? I think it might have been Lou Alcindor at the time, not Kareem Abdul. But he said, they keep saying, he says, very good for a big man, for a big man, for a big man, for a big man. And he says, I'm so tired of hearing about this for a big man. He says, you never hear him say that about John Kenneth Galbraith, who's like 6'8", famous economist. So the thing with Barron's always, he's 6'7". Okay, I can see that. And the entire Trump crew is huge. If you've ever been in a room with him, you can see, it's like, geez, Trump's 6'3", Eric is way over him, and Barron, okay, great. Now, that lasts about 2 seconds where you say, okay. But here's something interesting. When his son came out, this is Timmy's son. When his son came out, he was crying. It was like paroxysmal. He was really out of, and the poor kid, he's in front of national TV. They did the same thing with, remember Amy Carter? Oh my God, they made fun of Amy Carter and Chelsea. Rush Limbaugh did a terrible joke, which he let her apologize. He said, "What's the name of the dog in the White House?" Chelsea. Remember, it was terrible. You're a kid. You're gangly. You got braces. People are mocking you. This is before the internet, when trolling just gets out of control because we're so mean. And you know who I have absolutely no time for whatsoever? Ann Coulter is just mean. She's a very angry person. She's not very happy. I'll leave it at that. She's not very happy. There's a lot of inner demons in there that somehow find their way out. She's very, and I'll bet you anything. And I'm going to go on a limb and I'm going to say this. But she's got a little bit of a crush in a weird way on Trump, who I don't think gave her the attention that frankly she demanded. And she has been so mean to him. the border this. It's like there's something wrong with these people. There's something personal. Another one too, which is so great to see, Fredo Cuomo. Fredo came up with this brilliant observation. You see those boats, they cost $500,000. And the money, the money that goes into this, that's the issue. Oh, bravo, Chris. We never thought about that before. Thank you for pointing that out. We never knew that money might be a corrupting factor in politics. And by the way, you know what Chris Cuomo is really saying? Please get me on here. CNN, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I want my old job back. I want to come back. They don't even know where I am. They don't even know where I am. People are asking me, why aren't you on TV anymore? And I'm saying, I am on TV. What are you? What news? What? Where is it? What is it? What was there a channel? What is that? You've got baby monitors who have bigger audiences than that. Please let me back. Let me back. It's like whatever happened to network. Here's Vargas. Oh yeah, that's the one from the. Oh yeah, she was married to Mark Cohn. The drinking. Oh yeah, I know. Oh, there's Ashley Banfield. Oh yeah, whatever happened? It's like the island of misfit toy. Oh, whatever happened to? Oh look, Amelia Earhart, DB Cooper, people we haven't seen in a while. Where'd they go? There they are. Oh yeah, Richard Deacon played Fred Rutherford. I thought he was dead. No, he's okay. So there's poor Fredo. Please, I'm sorry. I'll even lose the fake weights. That's the one that got me. That's the one that got me. Evan Webb, damn it, says, "Hear who you do not like, but who do you like? Any? Hear who you do not like. Oh, anyone? Oh, yes. They're mostly dead, but now I don't go for individual. I don't really have anybody that I go to where I need a philosopher now that really helps me figure this thing out. Not really. Not really. Because we just don't have any good ones anymore. I was listening to a very interesting interview with Mike Rowe and Victor Davis Hanson. It's very good. It's like that ASMR, AMS, ASMR. It's very sleepy. Victor Davis Hanson, and I live in Selma, California, where we own walnut plants, and I'm a farmer, and I'm out. I mean, but it's a very, very good point. But the answer is no, no. There's nobody whose perspective. For legal, Andy McCarthy, absolutely, absolutely, without a doubt. Andy McCarthy is, I think, the best. On Jonathan Turley makes it up as he goes. He's okay. But I know I don't need somebody to make me understand something. There will never be a Buckley, Gore Vidal, and Christopher Hitchens to an extent during those days. It's a different style. Now we got Ann Coulter, who's just angry. She's just angry. And as far as talk radio goes, terrestrial, it's dead. Does that about answer that for you? I'll think of some ones who are very good, but I don't really. No, I don't need somebody to help me clarify it. I guess my problem is I don't. There's nothing complicated about this, so I don't need an analysis. I like historians. Now that's critical. Hanson's very good about that. I want to know the historical perspective of something. Some great stuff. Tom Ricks, by the way, did some wonderful stuff about generals and the military. I love to watch old C-SPAN books on the presidents, and I love a lot. Anyway, but that's that. So let me go back to, before I forget. This bothers me a lot, and we're going to watch this very carefully. Watch this fellow. This is, hang on. This is Tampon Tim. I don't know his son. Tim Olson. I think kids should kind of be kept. Oh yeah, they see he has a he has a nonverbal learning disorder. Gus Wall stole the show. He has a nonverbal. See, that breaks my heart. The 17-year-old stood up That's my dad. He says, I love you, Dad. He was just going crazy. It was beautiful. He has a nonverbal learning disability or NVLD, which affects a person's spatial visual skills. The number of people who receive a diagnosis is likely much smaller than those living with a disability. Okay, so he's just a regular kid. And I think he had to be there. And that's got to be tough because, people like Ann Coulter and others are going to make fun of him because of the way. And I'm sorry, that's just not fair. But here's what I want you to notice. Watch how Mr. Lovable Coach, watch how he's got his arm there. Watch how he grabs old Gus. Now watch this carefully. This is what people are talking about. And I think this is a bit interesting. Watch. Okay, did you see that? Watch this. Watch the grab. See the grabbing the arm? I don't know if that's maybe we're reading too much into it. Look at it, yanking him. Get over here. That's the only thing. One more time, maybe. Yeah, get over here. Okay. Is that a big deal? No, not really. But let me tell you something about this. And I know immediately, and you know. You ever meet people when you say, I can see right through this guy? And Timmy, for whatever this is worth, and Trump might be this to an extent, and maybe people in office from Obama to Jimmy Carter to Franklin Pierce. But you can tell when you meet somebody right away that they're phonies. Not that it matters. And Tim is a complete phony. And there's more going on there than meets the eye. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. There's more going on there than meets the eye. And you will be surprised how many people, the more you learn, the more you find out how many secrets people have. When you're a lawyer, so interesting. Sometimes, especially when you're it depends upon what you're doing. If you're in criminal law, you find out about people. It's mind-blowing. Everybody's got not secrets, but parts about them. And I'm sorry, but I'm always analyzing. And you'll never meet. There are some people who are very, 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 they are who they are. But there are other people who hide stuff, who hide. Now we can do, and by the way, you must understand something. You must understand how politicians and their own particular sensibilities play into this. Nixon, they always talked about. Nixon felt for the longest time that he wasn't, a cop says, watch it in real time. He has utter disdain for the kid. Yeah. I mean, maybe it did look like that, cops. That could very well be. I don't know. But there are people that, when you're watching these, you kind of could have said the same thing about Trump's got his thing. But Nixon had a real chip on his shoulder because he wanted to go to Harvard. He couldn't afford he was very smart and hated the Kennedys and Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson was as close to an actual real homicidal psychopath as you will ever meet. Lyndon Johnson could look at you in the eye, stab you or your mother in front of your eyes to make a point if you angered him or you got in his way. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the Kennedys hated him they had such contempt for him. Such contempt. Keep in mind how that goes. Barack Obama. What's his story? Always know something. What's their story? And Kamala? Wow. Where is she interested? Where should you focus on her? Daddy. Rejection. Abandonment. Consequently, men and her relationship with men. Protect me, lead me, help me. Watch the pictures of her standing next to Montel Williams at a party. Unbelievable. That says it all. Now listen to me. If what I'm telling you isn't important, you don't know what's important. These people are very, very strange. They're not like us. We're strange, but we're strange for obvious reasons because we're not hiding anything. We don't have to hide it. We're the most, we are what we are. This is it. This is it. You understand this? But there's always something. I told you, the Mossad has, or had, I'm sure it still has, a, a kind of a dossier, a psychological dossier of all major leaders of the world to understand what they're about, to understand what is their thing. Hillary Clinton, oh, you could go forever. They talked about George W. Bush on the couch. He was, they say he was a drinker, an alcoholic, and he stopped. They thought he was a dry drunk. He might have had Wernicke's encephalopathy because later on in his life, his speech was all screwed up, and that might have been that. Obama with his father, also who he is, identity. And when you are always told, like, oh, there's, oh, and your mother was, okay, and you're, same thing with Kamala. And the reason why you know this, and listen to me carefully, and listen, sons, fathers, tell your sons this. If they're, this is terrible, but if you're out there and you're trying your best to, people don't do this anymore, but if you're out trying to court people, I don't know if anybody even uses that word anymore. Do you think so? You think they actually have like somebody has a crush on somebody, or do they just hook up? I mean, there was a chance where you actually kind of wooed them. You would really, well, theoretically, go on a date, you would at least try. You cared to at least impress somewhat. You had some form of, by the way, these likes are pathetic. I need 1,000 likes. I'm sorry. I haven't done this in a while. Hate to do this. It sounds really needy, but I'm sorry, but I need 1,000 likes or else, remember this, or the dog gets it. National Lampoon. Pardon me. Didn't mean to say that. Let me see. Okay. So tell your sons this. Recognize if they're going out and they're trying to meet somebody, kind of size them up a little bit. Try to do something that, not that you're lying, but you understand who's who. Think hostage negotiator. For example, if you're going to be meeting with Hillary Clinton, understand what Hillary's is. Hillary was the one who never had it. Hillary was never taken. Hillary was the smart one, but Bill was the BS artist. Bill was Mr. Glib. Bill insulted her. Bill humiliated her. She doesn't give a damn about whether Bill, of course, he had his dalliances, but they were always trailer trash and low rent. But Monica Lewinsky embarrassed her, and women had contempt for her because she somehow let it happen. So understand who she is. And when you meet her as being absolutely, how do I say this? Brilliant. Now with Kamala, what's her story? Daddy left her. And many kids, I'm sorry, especially little girls, need a father. And when fathers leave, the mother, the daughter always feels, you left me. There are people right now, in this room who know exactly what I'm talking about. When you are a kid, those are the two adults who frame everything. They let you know either you're worth it, you're great. That's why when you have a kid, you have to spoil them. Yes. You want to have a trophy? Here, have a trophy. Do you feel good about yourself? Yeah, good. We'll worry about that, reality later on. But I want kids to be happy. You're special. You're loved. You're talented. You're beautiful. You're great. You're wonderful. And we love you. So life will give them the reality later on. Always marinate kids with love. You love them. They're great. And when parents divorce, little girls especially say, Daddy left me. Willie. Oh, Willie's. I'll bet you Willie's so smart. Willie's a nice guy. I sat with him next to him one time at an event we had. Remember when Willie was told, remember around 9/11, he said, don't look that one. Remember Willie was going to be on take a flight, but didn't or something. Just look that one. So when you're meeting her, what is it that you want? And everybody in her cabinet is going to realize this. What is the thing that she wants? What is the thing? And you watch her. If again, for me to even say this, I almost caught myself saying, watch her cabinet, which presupposes that she's going to win, which I didn't mean to suggest that for a moment. Hang on. Lionel, if Trump taps you for press secretary, are you on board? I would be the worst thing he would ever have. I'm not a diplomat. I would be terrible. I'm not an ass kisser. I'm not a prevaricator. I'm not. Ari Fleischer, I think, is the best. He never said anything. Oh, no. Sarah Huckabee Sanders was terrific. But Ari Fleischer never said anything. He was very, very good. But, and thank you, by the way. But Kamala, the way I would talk to her, I would try to make her at ease. This is the woman this is the woman where you meet her and you want to say something to the effect of, how do you feel about this? How are you feeling? She wants to be considered smart. She wants to be liked. She creates by virtue of the cackling. It's not just her mother laughed. It's a nervous habit. She's unsure of herself. And it's always gotten her past. It's always gotten her through it. And the more she finds out, oh my God, I'm really out of my league here. So the laughing covered more. It's very difficult. Some people thrive on that. Some people, Bill Clinton thrived on it. Nixon thrived on it. George W. Bush, he really wasn't into it. He didn't want to see it. He didn't care. In many respects, by the way, as an aside, a friend of mine one time, remain nameless, will be he told his staff there was an event where George Bush W came. And he had the young, people years ago, and he said, look, I want you to understand something. If you got a problem with that, take the night off. I don't want any problem. I'm telling you, he and his, I think Laura might have been there too, but they told him, you're going to do this. They loved him. For whatever it's worth, he had this genuine thing that just people love. When he was just being himself. Bill Clinton too. Oh, Bill Clinton. And once you know this, it loses its panache, so to speak. But he's really good. He looks at you and he makes that eye contact. Evan says you could be Trump's speech editor. Well, I'll tell you what I like to do with Trump is like to be his psychologist general. I like to work out the analysis of it. Let me tell you about, thank you, Evan. Let me tell you about Bill Clinton. When Bill Clinton meets you, met him one time. And I was standing there, Mrs. L. He just spent far more time with her than me, but he was very, very nice. And he looks at you for what it may be 5 seconds, 10. It seems like a long time. And he shakes your hand and he looks at you. And he looks at you like your father looking at you when you got a good grade. Like that's my boy. He's just like so happy to meet you. And he looks at you, and women were just falling. Oh my God. Oh, it was something, because he's a rock star. Other people didn't do that. Jimmy Carter didn't have that. Certain people. Have you ever noticed how a dog, Mrs. L's go with that, by the like dogs were very, she just looks at them and they look at her and they know she's okay. Babies. I always get babies look at me like, what is this guy? And I always look at them and I can make them laugh. Well, of course, that kills them. I don't, even as a baby, they don't even know what I'm doing, but they say, this guy's okay. This guy's all right. He's funny. I know it sounds nuts to you, but kids are like, I like him. he's an older person, but he does it. He's not like these other people. And we laugh at him. And always, anyway, people are just like that. I love the interpersonal stuff. Raul says, I would ask Kamala, what are your interests? Oh, very good. Like a friend of mine said, a friend of mine, I've known him forever, who's gay, said, remember something. He said, if you ever talk to people, women versus men love to say how everything is great. How's business? Great. Wonderful. Great. Terrific. How are you doing? Terrific. They really don't want to complain. Women, different story. How did that make you feel? Was his line. He said, to be gay, you speak to people like their mother, not their father. Remember that advice. Always ask people about themselves. What did you do then? Wow, that must have been strange. Yes. So what was your reaction? Just keep asking them. They love it. They love it. And a lot of times too, very frankly, a lot of times people don't have any attention paid to them. Also, if ever you want to remember a name, if you are bad at names, spend 1 second on their name. Now remember, you can never say a name enough because people love to hear their name. And if you ever forget something, I worked one time I got out of college, I worked for a U.S. senator, and he would ask me, we would be at different things. And I was 21 years old. I had no idea. I'm walking around. And he said, who's that? I said, I don't know, but I had to find out. So I thought of cute ways if we forgot a name. I would say, what do your friends call you? They love that. Oh, well, Jack, great. Jack, John Kennedy was called Jack. And if you take 1 second to say that name, say the name so that your head and your speaking are connected. It's like if you learn a new word, a word that's a new vocabulary word, say it, use it in a sentence, and you'll remember saying it. Jack Kennedy, they always call John Kennedy. His friends called him Jack. Jack sounds like, you just said Jack about 3 times. You'll never forget him. You'll say John Kennedy, Jack, just little things like that. But Kamala wants to be I hate to say a cabinet. They're going to say, if there is an older man in her group, the revered man, that's the guy to put your money on. That's the one. That's daddy. That's the one. And when I say daddy, it's a shortcut for that. Now, CNN is doing some great stuff. You might not like this, but CNN is actually, and I only see this on X. I don't watch this crap. But I get in the morning, I look at my feed, and I still call it Twitter. It's not X to me. But dig this.
These speeches, as good as they were, is that she's in the White House.
Let me try it again.
In all these speeches, as good as they were, is that she's in the White House right now. Democrats have controlled the White House for 12 of the last 16 years. And for all of the talk about division and the problems in the country and people are hurting, Democrats have mostly controlled this country.
Yep.
Trump had it for 4. The Obamas and Biden had it for the rest of the time. And somehow, it's still all Trump's fault, and somehow she hasn't been at the center of it. So to me, that's still the glaring hole in this campaign that hasn't yet been solved at the convention. How do you explain all of the problems that will be solved by the person who is currently in there for the last 3.5 years, who is supposed to already be working on solving it? But
now, I want you to read this. I don't believe in body language. I believe in eyes. Look at her expression. You know what this expression is? This is, he's right. He's right. Look at Axelrod. Look at Axelrod up here. Hang on. Where is he? There he is. Axelrod is like frozen. Like, this guy's right. You see that? That's the tell. That's what you're looking for. Not this other kind of nonsense about did he cross his arms? Did he go like that? No. Now, what does that mean? Nothing. Not really. Not really anything. So if I had to sit down with President Trump, I'm saying, now listen, you did a great job, but that's over with. Now here's what we're going to do. They're digesting their food. This is postprandial, okay? Already, as we speak, people have forgotten last night. Number one. Number two, I'm only interested in new people. Did we get any new Democrats for her? Any new, either new Democrats, or did we get any folks who used to be Republicans and now they're Democrats? No, 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 no. It was an event. It was like America's Got Talent. It was like watching whatever. I still think Beyonce last night, if she walked out, and here's why. I would have loved to have had my intel people, my intelligence people, the Luca Brazis, the jackals, the ones who get the job done, the people you don't want to meet. And I would make sure if I worked with Gamala, I would say, make sure you talk to so-and-so. And I want you to get to Beyonce's people and say, remember something. We've got Diddy. We got all his tapes, all his files, all his testimony. He's working for us. We never arrested him. Never charged him. We searched his place. He's ours. We know all about you and all about him and all about Jay. We also have got people, ask R. Kelly how he's doing. Oh, we've got stuff you can't believe. And you know we know it. And you know we have it. And you know, we own you. We own Oprah. We own everybody. You understand that? Everybody. So you might want to think about this. If you want to continue doing what you're doing, if you want to be the whatever it is, we can understand, Taylor Swift not coming along. But if Beyonce says, I'm with her, that would have meant I'm with the Democrats. And the Democrats are going to help you, not the Republicans. This was her chance. Not the inaugural, not later on, now. That would have picked up oh my God, because Beyonce, whether you like her or not, whether you care, same thing with Taylor Swift. I don't care what you think. They love her. And she didn't show up. Now that's weird. Either there was a complete miscommunication. Maybe she thinks she's more powerful. I don't know. But I promise you, last night, that's all they would have been talking about. They would have said Beyonce and her. And they would tell her, oh, yeah, Bay, you're going to be doing that. Oh, yeah, trust me. Because we own Jay-Z. We own him. We know everything. Do you know what happened? Do you know who these people, do you know what this guy was? Do you know their background? You know what Queen for the Day is? Therese Pollard says, thoughts on E.M. Jones. I'm sorry. I may be stupid. Who is E.M. Jones? I'm sorry. I must be daft. Edie Crowley says, one of my aunts who worked for AP met Clinton while being introduced, he kissed her on the mouth. Okay. Well, that's not, I wouldn't recommend that, but I mean, I'm sorry. I know this is probably one of the most stupid thing ever. Who is E.M. Jones? I'm sorry. This is going to drive me. This is going to be an answer of somebody who was so obvious we don't know. In any event, whatever. Now, remember this. I don't know why that happened. I don't know why she wasn't there. I have no idea. I can guess, but I would have made sure in my intel people that they would have told her specifically, you are absolutely going to show up. Now, Taylor Swift, different story. Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, let me tell you something. I would use Well, Taylor was not there either because Taylor has said, I'm not endorsing anybody. She didn't endorse Trump. Do you think her people, their kids, first of all, you got to be crazy. You've got to be crazy to endorse a candidate now. Let me give you an example of something. I've got a friend of mine, and I saw him the other day. He's a restaurateur here in New York. And he told me one time, he said he talked to two different people, and I'm not going to mention who, but one was a conservative, look at this. Bro, literally frozen valor. I like that, frozen. I don't know what that means, but that's good. We're not going to find out who E.M. Jones are, apparently. Not Van Jones. I don't know who E.M. Jones is. That's very good. That'd be a good trolling. What about M.L. Mendelbaum? Who? That throws you off. Very, very good. E.M. Jones. Hi, my name is Emily, and I have a burrito. At any event, so my friend has a very, very well-known restaurant. He went on two different shows. He went on one was he had a particular conservative icon, and he was just saying, I love this show. He got more hate mail than you could imagine. Absolutely more hate mail than you could imagine. I mean, then he was on another show, which was how do I say this? Another one who was a kind of a liberal show. And guess what happened? There was, they hated him as well. And he said there was such acrimony. There's so much hate. I mean, hatred, just beyond anything anybody's ever seen before. Now, let's talk about this. If I'm going to talk to President Trump and I'm going to say, listen to me, sit down, sir. You're hearing a lot of people say to you things like, stop being, I saw something, Lou Rockwell or something had some article about stop being E.M. Jones and historian. Oof, by the way, thank you for saying an historian versus a historian. E.M. Jones, author, The Darling Killer. I'm not familiar. I'm going to say this. E.M. Jones. I do not know this. Excuse me. I am, you know what? I'm not familiar with his work or her work or E.M. or E's work, but I will look into it. I love, excuse me, anything to do with killers because you learn about goodness by learning about complete and total ruthless horror. You learn about what's good by virtue of that. I know that may sound odd, whatever. But going back to the president, what he needs to do is this. First and foremost, whatever you do, whatever it is, make sure you are yourself. Make sure you are, excuse me, completely genuine. 100% genuine. Do you hear what I'm saying? Genuine. You must be genuine. Absolutely. Whatever you say, excuse me, however you say it, whatever the particular phraseology is, whatever, you must absolutely, positively be yourself. And there's one thing that Trump is, as you would think, it's very interesting. As, dare I say, as kind of fancy schmancy as you think he might be, he is 100% the real McCoy. He is who he is. And it's something I cannot put into words. I cannot explain. This is the thing he does. You do what you want to do. Now, we're trying to say, what is it that you're going to be looking at Labor Day, it starts. As we speak, right this moment, remember this, we are looking at 74 days until the election. So rule number 1 is you must be yourself. Rule number 2, you have to understand a couple of things. It might behoove you to do a mix. Remember, you have to mention why you should not vote for her. Now, people don't like this. People say, well, you shouldn't do that because you should talk about your own positivity and don't keep slamming her. No, I disagree. You must. Not vicious. Don't make fun of looks or things like that. But you must speak specifically to what she does and doesn't do. Absolutely. These are things which I cannot put into words any better than what I've said. It's one of those things which is so incredibly important. There are people who are going to vote at the last minute, maybe at the last minute, and they really don't know why. And I know it's hard for you to understand this. They're independents or undecideds or whatever you want to call them, and they're not really sure. And it'll be they vote. A lot of people vote, but they didn't watch this week. They didn't watch this convention. Is there anything about a convention that you saw when Trump was speaking that made you think anything differently? No, you're going to vote for him anyway. What difference did it make? You and I could talk about this. I think Kid Rock and Dana. Kid Rock. Okay, listen to me. Kid Rock. Hulk Hogan and Dana White. This is great if you're into the. And I don't like the way they say this all the time. They always talk about testosterone. But if you're a 20-year-old male, you'll love these guys. A lot of women, very frankly, said, Kid Rock, Hulk Hogan? Who's Dana White? But that's Trump's idiosyncrasy. He loves men and soldiers and babes and rich people. He's very like Rob Report, so to speak. You know what I mean? That's Trump. Trump's into glitz and usual, not cerebral, not people that, one of the things which is so interesting, when you're the president of the United States, in the old days, maybe not now, you could invite anybody you wanted to the White House. Anybody you wanted. And they'd show up in the old days. Kennedy had Pablo Casals. They used to have concerts. Obama did this to an extent, to his credit, because they would show up. He had, Buddy Guy and Mick Jagger and the music, and great. Trump never did this. Reagan, interestingly enough, was one of these ones who never really had anybody. He and Nancy would watch old movies. And remember the time when Reagan's very interesting, because there's a lot of talk about Reagan right now with Dennis Quaid and this movie that's coming up. Reagan was much smarter than people thought. But he was just very kind of basic, but basically smart. And there was a story one time where he and Nancy used to love to go to their residence and watch movies on TV trays, because they were, and by the way, she was the strumpet's strumpet during her days in Hollywood, and him too. There was all, because at that time, this was the day of Errol Flynn. Anything went. Sexuality meant whoever's available. They don't worry about things. Those and the 20s. But during the 40s and 50s, 40s in particular, it was wild. Louis Mayer, oh my God. In any event, they would watch TV trays. So there was a time when Reagan was watching this movie, and the story was, and it may have been true, may have been a bit apocryphal, but the plane was heading to crash. And the pilot saw this poor injured soldier and said something to the effect of, the plane was going down. He said, don't worry, son, we're going to ride this out together. And the pilot stayed on board with this young man because he didn't have a parachute, couldn't jump out, he was too injured. And it was in a movie. And Reagan, confused, and actually said that one time, at a medal ceremony. And if I recall correctly, they had a split screen of the movie and Reagan. So sometimes he would be a little confused as to what did and didn't happen. But that was his thing. They found out the story was he didn't like to read a lot of stuff. He wasn't big into memos. So somebody found in the White House, somebody found, the story goes, a recording. This is before VCRs and all that before, but they found something, and somebody actually stood in front of a microphone and did the presentation in a video form. Gave it to him somehow, and Reagan, we remember, watched it because he was in the movies. He remembered everything. So there were these interesting things. But if Donald Trump said, if you ask them seriously, anybody you want, you invite them. No, whatever fulfills your sense of interest and your sense of personality, anybody will show up. He would have people like Ted Nugent and Dana White and Ultimate Fighting and UC, all that stuff. But that's who he is. That's who he is. You can ask yourself, by the by, one of the most interesting minds available today is that of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's interests are the most plenary, the most varied, from Joey Diaz to particle physicist and Lex Friedman is terrific. Think about anybody you would want. Anybody. I'd have Edward Witten. Have you ever heard him? Edward Witten. Listen to him speak. The speaking style, you can't believe it. He talks like this. He's like 6'4", but he sounds like it's a joke. But he might be, some might say, the smartest person who's into super symmetry. He's the first, I think, physicist to win the Fields Medal. Fields Medal is the Nobel Prize for mathematics. I think he won. He's out of this world. That's the guy I'd want. I'd love this. Just that. Terence Tao, probably the greatest mathematician alive today. He was a prodigy from Australia, I guess Chinese, but just off the charts. Because in the old days in our society, Einstein was the most famous person. We loved these people. We loved scientists. Madame Curie was so huge. Enrico Fermi, they knew who these people were. Not anymore. We don't care about that. Now it's, Beyonce. But Trump is who he is. Trump is not fancy. He's just who he is. And he's authentic. And being authentic is so important. It's so critical. And people love that. And people may not like it, but they'll listen to you if they believe you. And they may listen to you and say, you know what? I listened to what you said. I just don't agree with you. Fine. That's all I ask. But with Kamala, nobody's listening to her because she's selling them. I've got a friend of mine. Here's a little trick. Sometimes you can insult somebody by pretending you understand it. What do I mean? Let me give you an example. I've got a friend of mine who has been a part of the Liberal Democratic Party since the 60s. She worked with McGovern and knew everybody from, you name it, from Warren Beatty to Robert Redford. It was in the 60s and 70s, but the war, and she is of that particular ilk, and I would have joined her. Gene McCarthy and McGovern, and I would have probably been there right there too, because I was absolutely anti-Vietnam. Was horrible, and we were adamant about that. And the same thing they're saying right now about Israel, and the same thing they're saying was going on to that massacre of these Gazans. They did it then too. Nothing's really changed. Okay. So I talked to her. I said, look, I understand what you're doing. You've been a lifelong Democrat, and you've been loyal. And you have voted from the beginning of your life. You have been a Democrat, and that's all you know. And it's not so much, you don't really, it's not that you're a fan of Kamala or Kamala. You're a good Democrat. And I understand that. And I understand how you are. It's not all upset. So I understand why you're, of course, you can't vote for Trump. That's another one too. Do this to people. You can't vote for Trump. I understand that. Trump's talking about things like law and order and borders. That's not you. I understand that. And they'll say, wait a minute, wait. What do you mean that's not for me? What do you mean by it? No. Trump's into, fiscal, taxes, business, tariffs, foreign, defense strength. That's not you. But wait a minute. What's wrong with me? That's not what you're wanting. You're into, puppy dogs and joy and forward and that kind of. You like everybody just coming in across the border because you feel like it's nice. You don't want to be, or or frankly, they're Democrats and whatever they say. And when you speak like that, and you almost pat them on the head like there's something wrong with them, it's wonderful. You'll drive them crazy. I know what you're doing. I understand. Now, Trump's work is ahead of him right now. And what he has to do, which is so critical, is to understand if you're going to lose this, it very well is not going to be on any kind of a, dare I say, any kind of a ideological problem. It's going to be, I'm sorry to say, mechanical. Okay? Now, let me just leave it at that. Let me also say to you fine people, Evan Webb, damn it, Therese Pollard, George Lenz, Andy Armour, Edie Crowley, we love you, Edie. Thank you so much. Raul Rodriguez, Howard Schoonover, ladies and gentlemen, Cobbs, Pilgrim Media. Thank you so much. And that's that. Let me also remind you, as I've said to you before, I ask, and you'll be so blessed by following Mrs. L on the following right here, Mrs. L on YouTube and X. We call it, I still call it Twitter. And that's it right there. At Lynn's Warriors, and also on X, whatever, as Lynn's Warriors, LYNNS_Warriors. Okay, you got that? Good. Also make sure, and this is important, that you make sure that you are always subscribed here to Lionel Nation. For some reason, people are finding out, they're finding they're unsubscribed. I have no idea why. No idea. And also our sister channel is Lionel Illegal. All right, dear friends. Thank you. Do not become alarmed. And last night, think about it. It's already over. It's done. And today, don't read anything about it. DNC is going to talk about how wonderful it was. Everybody's going to be going crazy. We've heard this before. Do not do this. All right, dear friends. Have a great and a glorious day. See you tonight at 7 p.m. Don't forget, sign up. Make sure you subscribe. Lionel Nation. Because if we have drops and the like during the day, Lionel Nation members always get first dibs. All right, friends. Have a great and glorious day. See you tonight. And don't forget, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da.